with Yoga Athletica in Los Angeles, California. Here today with a bit of a difficult video. So last week, um, my best friend passed in her sleep out of nowhere and with no warning. A relatively young woman in her very early 60s. And in as much as we know, perfect health. And it came as a tremendous shock, of course, to all of us. Now, ironically, I put on this long life shirt for her today in her honor. And I forgot my blue ribbon for the hostages for the first time in more than 300 days. I do have my bracelet, of course, but I think that today I need to just focus on her, on this loss, on what it means to me and what it means to you. I want to give you some information that could very well save your life. And please stay to the end because I'm also going to be talking about how to deal with grief in an effective way and in a way that is in alignment with yogic principles. I do want to say that not only did my best friend pass unexpectedly in her sleep last week, but I might lose it sometimes during this video. But just a few years later, almost to the day, just 2 days apart, my sister-in-law also passed out of nowhere. She was, when I say perfect health, I mean a personal trainer at Orange Theory Fitness, top notch, and also was the first female physical therapist in the NFL. So these are women who passed out of nowhere and with no warning. And I just want to talk about a number of things that are so important right now. And I'm going to start with the fact that conventional wisdom, unfortunately, even still in the medical community, which confounds me, really seems to still believe that heart problems, heart attacks, heart disease are primarily a man's problem. And even if the statistics prove that, what happens is that female heart health tends to be largely overlooked. And we as women, and what I'm saying today is going to apply equally to men, but we as women must listen to our instincts and remember that women in general are more instinctive by nature than men are, right? I mean, it's just genetic. We tend to be more driven by emotions, intuition, and sort of the yin characteristics. Now, this isn't about gender, it's not about any of the things, it's just about how we're wired. So, one thing I want to say is that if you are experiencing any symptom that's go to your doctor, and if your doctor recommends a test that does not include a test that you, by instinct, believe that you need, insist, even if it comes out clean, best of all possible world, it comes out clean. You insist on that. Best friend, I'm not mentioning name because of the family. The only warning sign that she seems to have had that we know of was she had a traveling pain on her left side. Now, when I say traveling, keep in mind I don't mean radiating. Let me discuss the difference. A radiating pain would be something like the most common radiating pain that we hear about all the time is sciatica, right? So it's a pain that originates in your low back and radiates down your leg. Okay, that would be radiating pain. Now, traveling pain is different. Traveling pain is pain that starts in one part of your body and literally moves to another part of your body. Now, I don't know. I don't know that this is what caused my best friend's sudden passing. Um, but she did have a pain in her left low back that moved up into her side, into her shoulder, and into her neck. At that point, she did go to the doctor and they did an ultrasound. Wrong test. She needed an MRI. And when they sent her home, her daughter's instinct, because they are actually in the home care business, was go back and get another test. And she didn't. Now, my best friend died in the way that we all hope to pass, which is in her sleep, and it seems painlessly. She looked peaceful when they found her. Nonetheless, one thing I do want to point out is that, as ironic as this might sound, when someone we love gets very, very sick, terminally ill, in a way it's a blessing, because we have time to be with them, to say goodbye to them, to reconcile with them, to get to peace with them. I experienced this last year when my second father, not really my father, but like a father to me, um, was dying of cancer, and I had the opportunity to literally stand with him for the last few days right next to his bed, and hold his hand and talk to him. Part of the time he was responsive and part of the time he wasn't, and his whole family got to spend that time with him and to bless him, and to be blessed by him, and to have peace with his passing. And so I think when someone passes in their sleep, it's a blessing to them. And when someone gets terminally ill in such a weird way, it's a blessing to everyone who knows them, and to them as well. But ultimately, one thing keeps coming up is, like, why would God do this? Why would God take the life of these two young, healthy women without warning? And one thing that conclusion that I've come to is that perhaps it's really not about God, but about our souls, and that our brains don't know what our souls want. Our minds can't fathom what we know on a soul level. And maybe in an instance like these two, their souls just knew that it was time to go. Now, that being said, I also want to talk about some warning signs that you should be keeping in mind to make sure that you are healthy as possible, and that you live a long and healthy and deeply blessed life that you deserve, and that I personally wish for you. Now, both of these women passed, we're not sure, but it seems from two different things. One passed from a blood clot that went to her brain, as my sister-in-law, who was instantly left brain dead and passed about 2 days later. My best friend, it seems, as if what happened was her heart burst. And it sort of makes sense because she had the biggest heart. She actually had taken all her savings and bought a senior care home so that she could help the elderly live their blessed lives in peace and dignity and respect. And I can tell you that there has never, as in ever, been a senior living home that had more love and more respect than she and her staff had for their residents, whom they treated like their own parents. And I guess in a way it's ironic that her heart apparently got so big that it burst. Now, I want to talk about some of the warning signals. And yes, I am absolutely going to give a blessing to Kira on her birthday, a day of blessing and a day that the world was blessed. Every single person who walks this earth is a blessing to so many people, and with the butterfly effect to so many people who know those people, and those blessings, they just keep expanding. So happy birthday to Kira, and I wish you a long and blessed life. Now, some of the warning signals that I want you to keep in mind, and if they come up, it never hurts to go to a doctor. The best that happens is they say you're a hypochondriac, you go home and you live 100 more years. God bless you. I hope that's what happens. But on the off chance that your instincts are correct and something is wrong, and in your body when something is wrong, they can find it and they can hopefully save you from it. Warning signs include obesity. Now, guys, I am all for body positivity, 120 million%. And it's something that I've struggled with myself for most of my life. In fact, if you look back on my own videos 3 or 4 years ago, I was carrying about 15 more pounds than I am now, despite being a very strict vegan and exercising all day, every day. And I was always struggling with my body image, and I appreciate that you want me to smile. This is a very difficult conversation for me to have right now. So forgive me that I'm not smiling as much as I normally would. That being said, guys, when you are carrying an obese amount of weight, and even if you look at the studies, when you're carrying extra weight, you're putting strain on your heart, just plain and simple. In fact, I think, and I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me, that even some extreme bodybuilders have heart failure because of all the extra weight that they are carrying, because it's a burden to your heart. Now, I 100% believe that no matter how you look on the outside, the only thing that matters is who you are on the inside as a human. But guys, I'm not saying this to offend anybody. I'm saying it in hopes of saving someone's life. When you carry extra weight, you're putting yourself at risk, period. So that is a big risk factor that if you look at any heart issues, um, is on every single one of the lists. So please love yourself for yourself as yourself and take that love and use it to live a healthy life, the healthiest life you can. Now, a second risk factor, huge one, is alcohol consumption. No matter what kind of health you're in, I think that people think that if you are somebody who works out all the time or eats really well, that it somehow gives you license to overindulge in alcohol. It doesn't. It doesn't. Now, I'm biased. As some of you may know, I am the just say no poster girl. I've never touched a drug in my life. I've never touched a cigarette, and I've only had a minimum amount of alcohol ever. I might have a sip at a Jewish holiday, and that's about it. So I have very strong opinions on this. I believe in living my healthiest life, and that includes mind, body, and spirit. And guys, please don't make this mistake of thinking that just because you work out, you can drink to excess. It's simply not true. And again, when you look at the litany of things that will kill you, not to mention actual driving, things like that, um, alcohol consumption is way up there on the list. Now, I know I don't have to tell you that drug abuse is too. I'm going to leave that to your own devices in hope that you have enough common sense to know that drug abuse is never a good idea. So, other symptoms include incredible fatigue. Now, this is a hard one in the days of long COVID because I hear from so many people that they're so tired these days, and I'm so tired these days. Um, and they blame it on long COVID or they blame it on the incredible stressors in the world today. And all of those are relevant. Even if it's long COVID, it's not going to hurt, once again, to go to the doctor. If you are having overwhelming fatigue, that's a symptom. If you're having muscle pain all over your body, that's a symptom. And if you're having shortness of breath and you've never had a problem with, say, asthma, allergies, other things that would normally give you that issue, go to doctor. Trust your instincts and get the test that you think you need, okay? Just getting an inhaler is treating just the problem, not the symptom. The goal here is to find out why you're having these issues and to get ahead of them. Now, WebMD and sites like that are somewhere between your best friend and your worst enemy because they will convince you 100% of the time that you have every rare disease on earth and you are dying. However, if you're having a bunch of symptoms that are not regular for you, that you know something's off, just get it taken care of and look online. I'm only listing a handful of symptoms. Now, another thing I really do want to talk about today is grieving, and yoga, and how these all tie together. Um, because as you could imagine, getting a phone call out of nowhere from my best friend's daughter, and my best friend was found dead in her bed, definitely threw me for a loop and was one of the hardest pieces of information I've had to process in my life. I'm still processing it a week and a half later. But let me tell you how yoga has helped me, because it has. Not just, yes, I do my yoga all day and it helps my mind to get still or calm. But keep in mind that in yoga, we have this concept of the Atman. The Atman is, in essence, a shared soul. If you could imagine a drop in an ocean, does the drop exist? Yes. Can it be extracted from the ocean? No. That is the concept of the soul. Said another way, imagine that you are a bubble floating through the air. If you pop that bubble, what's left? What was inside the bubble is now 100% indistinguishable from what was outside the bubble. The only thing that separated these two things was, let's call it a skin. Our bodies are that bubble. And when our body leaves, our soul goes right into the ether and becomes one with all other souls. And so here is what helps me. My best friend lived more than 1,000 miles away from me, which means that if she were still here today, her body would be more than 1,000 miles away from me. There's no merging of two souls that are contained in bodies on this earth. We live in the three-dimensional universe, which means that the very fact that we have bodies separates us on some level from every other person who is living in a body. However, when the body is no longer, when the soul becomes a piece of the ether, it expands and it becomes like God everywhere, which means that right now, my best friend is closer to me than she was when she was alive in a body, because now she's no longer 1,000 miles away. Now she's here, and she is literally residing in my heart and in my mind. And she's one with my soul and in all the things. And it's an amazing concept, really, because another big irony is that if she were still alive right now, she would be as real to me as she is when she has passed. Because without that tangible connection of someone sitting in front of you, they only exist in theory anyway. If I never knew she passed and it was almost the day before I found out, how could I say that her death had pulled her further from me than she was a day before? And the answer is I can't. The answer is that what I have now is my best friend for eternity, who I can still love because love transcends time and space and physicality. Someone I can talk to and be receptive to the answers. Someone with whom I share the most amazing memories. Someone who I could only think of as love, as goodness and kindness, and any petty disagreements we may have ever had over all these many, many years are gone. They're gone. And all that's left is the pure love and friendship that we not only shared in the time that I was blessed to have her in my life, for the rest of my life, my next life, and the life after that, and the millions of lives over that after that, in which, to be honest, our souls will always be merged. Namaste.